Hey guys, welcome back to SEADOGS Can Fly. This is episode 40 and it's a pre-season transfer special. We've got one live com game for you today, that's at home to West Ham, but the biggie is about the transfers. We've spent a lot of money, well over 100 million, but as you can see from what you're looking at right now, we finished the season last year 1 point shy of the title. If we'd have got one more goal in that last game of the season against Manchester United, that was after beating Man City away from home as well, we would have won the Premier League in our debut season. We did go on to lift the Europa League in our debut European season, so I was quite happy with that, and we've got Champions League football to look forward to as well, which you're going to see the draw for in just a second. Before we crack on with things, don't forget to subscribe and click the bell button if you haven't done so already, and click like if you enjoyed the episode. Roll the intro.
12 years in that division and they're out.
As I alluded to in the intro, here's the end of season. We beat Man City 4-1 away from home, but then we couldn't get the job done against Manchester United on the last day of the season. Absolutely gutted. We did beat Leipzig though 6-3 in extra time. That was a hard fought victory, so nice to finally get the Europa League lifted. It's not very often I win that. Quite often the Champions League, but not that often the Europa League, because generally you only get one shot at it if you get into the Champions League, of course. Such a fantastic season hasn't really done an awful lot to our expectations. They still think we should be going for top half of the table, and that is really the objective for the foreseeable future. FA Cup, they want us to reach the quarter final, the EFL Cup same, and Champions League the first knockout round. Let's have a quick look at the Champions League draw. So we're actually drawn in the first seeded pot, which was quite a surprise, and Porto came out as the second seed in Group A. Liverpool and Lazio looks quite tasty, but PSG and Atletico Madrid, that is a corker. We got Lille, that was the third team to come into our group, and eventually Mainz. I was really happy with the group. Mainz are quite a tough team to come up against in Germany, but to be honest, on the whole, we couldn't have had it much easier. But we're going to need a lot of strength in depth if we're going to have any chance of competing both in Europe and domestically. I'd love to go for the title this season, and that is why we've gone for some big signings. There's quite a lot to get through here because we've had a lot of departures, I've made a lot of money, but we've also had a hell of a lot of transfers in. So let's begin with the first one. We'll start with the outs. The cheapest of our sales is Seydou Yafa. He was not good enough, never going to make it in the top flight, so I decided to cash in on 575k a week from Real Oviedo. He's been a great servant to the club, with us since 2020. Again, the class of 2020, I always mention him, some cracking ratings, but like I say, we needed to move him on. Gabriel Rasso only joined us the other season. He's fast, decent player, good potential, but he's just not really developed. It's probably half my fault. I've not invested much time in him, and he wasn't scoring when he was going out on loan, so I felt now was the time just to get rid and move on. There's loads more talent coming through in that striker role. And finally, Steve Roberts was another one. Bit better than Rasso, but again, he just didn't really perform, even in the lower leagues, and 2.2 million was too big a fee to turn down from Ipswich Town. Now on to the first of the big sales, and this was a massive one. Patrick Gutt went to Monaco for 25.5 million. Massive sale. He's been huge for us since joining in 2021. It was on a free transfer, it was on trial initially, but he had 16 assists for Morpeth in his first season playing football and 11 goals. That told me we had a play on our hands, and it proved to be the case. In 2025-26, he got 11 assists from 29 starts. The season before in the Championship, 13. So I was really, really happy with Gutt all round. However, we have other options in the centre of midfield that are going to be better than him long term. So while he's a fantastic deep line playmaker for the system we're using, I felt like we needed to get rid of him to be able to progress other signings. Another central midfielder to leave is Rob Gale. Again, not quite the quality we're looking for. We've got better players in the team, but he was from the class of 2020, signed from Kettering Town back in 2020-21 season. He has been a stalwart for the club all the way up to the Premier League, even playing 22 times last season. More often than not, he was off the bench, but he's been a fantastic servant. 21.5 million from Everton, another team that stole Hurst many, many years ago, as you might remember. Leicester, and I felt now was the time to cash in on the kid. It's just his homegrown status we're going to miss. And on the subject of the class of 2020 again, Gary Bowden. The striker was fantastic for us since joining in 2020 full time. He scored a decent amount of goals, but because he's been playing in that false nine role, he's not always been a goal scorer, more of a provider and a distraction for defenders. We ended up getting 21.5 million from Union Berlin, which I felt was a really good sum of money. He is a good player, he's got loads of potential still, but I didn't feel like he was ever going to be anywhere near as good as some of the other strikers we've got in the squad and some of the signings we've managed to make. Football Manager is all about cashing in on the players at the right time for me. That is what makes a lower league save tick. And Lucas Delaney is one of them. We've got 28.5 million from Genk, who are actually a little bit of a powerhouse. They've spent quite a lot of money down the years. You can see why they wanted to pay so much. He's played exceptionally well for us, joining 2023, back when we were in League One. Only 1.9 million we paid, and we recouped that in spades. He was actually really good in the Premier League, starting 34 times, getting a 7.31 average rating. He actually started in 45 games last season, so actually you could argue he's a little bit of a loss, and he's one of those players that's got cracking mentals and a towering presence, so I am going to miss him, but those technicals just are not good enough for what we're trying to do, which is start to build out from the back within our system. And the final departure for today, I was so pissed off with this. Luan, the Brazilian wonder kid, has been unhappy since virtually the week that he joined us. He said he wasn't settling and I wasn't maintaining my promises, which is a lot of bullshit because I didn't make any promises to him. He's really fast, agile, great balance, good passer of the ball, good teamwork. And to be honest, I felt like he could have been one of our best players down the years. The very fact that Man United got him says an awful lot, and there were so many clubs in for him. They only paid 31 million because that was his release clause. Unfortunately, I couldn't get rid of that, and he won't sign a new contract. So I'm afraid, while we've almost doubled our money, which is quite good, I'm a little bit disappointed to have missed out on getting more because I felt like he was worth probably even double that 31 million in a few seasons' time. Right, let's move on to the ins, and we're going to start with the young prospects, the ones that are really going to get us firing in the future. Johan David is French, he's 16 years old, and we paid naff all for him. We managed to get him on a deal of 875k from Toulouse, and as you can see, this kid is fantastic. He's got loads of space and agility. Pace. He can dribble with the ball. That finishing and first touch is definitely going to go up. A little bit weak on his mentals, but he's only young. He's an immature player, so we are going to develop that side of his game, and he's already shown some really good development already. Sakil Highland, I really like this kid, centre back, towering presence, and it's one of the reasons I was happy to sell Delaney, because I wanted to give this 16-year-old kid some game time from the first season. He looks like a mean bugger, doesn't he? He's better as a central defender, but he could play ball playing. He's got decent passing, decent technique, and we can develop that. He's certainly got a lot of potential, and there's no issues there with his consistency, which is something that I felt like we were struggling with Delaney and Wardle. And another player we got reasonably cheap is Ahmed El Id. He is another French player, 16 years old, and he's got loads of potential. Look at the amount of increases we've already seen. He's a reasonably consistent player as well. Got good speed, determination, vision, and decision making already. Quite a mature player really. He's more of an AMC, but I'm going to start developing him as an MC and try and make him into more of a box-to-box midfielder. I love that long shot ability, and I'm hoping that could maybe be a feature with him in the future. We got him from Lyon, and we only paid 975k, so a cracking little deal there. And finally, a complete wild card for the Wonder Kids. That's Billy Jones, 17, English, signed from Norwich. He was actually on the transfer list, believe it or not, for 400k, rather unbelievably. I'm not quite sure why they wanted to get rid of him for such a small amount of money, because actually he's got a good base of attributes there to be a deep line playmaker, even in MC if you have a look. So we'll see how he gets on. I'm going to stick him in the under 23s and we'll see how he develops. So Luan left. That meant I had to bring in a replacement, and I went for Brendan Lemur. Again, one I spotted on the transfer list around the same time that I actually signed Jones, I think. 9.5 million we paid for this kid from Stade Rennais. He's been there for a long time, but we've been scouting him for years, waiting to make a bid and never had the guts to do it because he's always costed too much. He doesn't look like a lot on face value, but he's got good work rate, amazing vision, technique and passing, a good first touch, and he's got decent physicals as well, good stamina there and good speed. So I'm hoping we can develop him into a cracking little box-to-box midfielder / deep lying playmaker. I certainly think there's a lot of room to grow there. And if you look at his attribute wheel, as you all know, I love a rounded attribute wheel. That's precisely what he's got. He's had a decent start to the season, so fingers crossed with this kid. We've got going, Gale going, and we've also mentioned Luan just now. We had to get a star player, and that's what we were missing last season. Someone who is just that much better than the opposition and can unlock a door. We managed to get Lucas Silveira on a release clause of 21 million. He had a minimum fee release clause with Sao Paulo. That also meant we could get a work permit for him because we were above the threshold to be able to qualify for that. And this kid is amazing. I've wanted to get him for years and never really found the right time to do it. With the gaps in the squad, now was the time to go. He's dribbling, his first touch, his passing technique, vision. He works hard as well, which is very rare for someone who's so technically gifted. He's got a lot of flair, he's agile, balanced, and he's got good speed. He's an all-round player. Look at that attribute wheel. He is fantastic. He's consistent as well, which is very rare in our team, and a big game player. I am really excited about this kid. He's going to be played for MMC as an advanced playmaker on support, but he could play a few different roles for us. I mentioned last season as well that we were really struggling at the back. We were conceding an awful lot of goals, so I wanted to bring someone in who was a powerhouse and was really going to lead the team forward in those big games when we needed someone to stand up. We've managed to get German Stelico. He's Argentine, he's 24, so he's outside of my usual age range for buying players, but he was on the transfer list for 10.5 million. I could not believe it. We've got some right bargains on the transfer list this season. He was one of the best players at Boca Juniors, but he didn't want to be there anymore, and for some reason they decided that was a fair price. Well, we've certainly cashed in there big time. His jumping reach is the only real weakness, but I'm trying to work on that. I don't understand why it's only 13. He's 6'2", he's strong, and he can head the ball. He's aggressive as well, so that jumping reach really logically should be higher than that, but you get this quite often with new gens where they have illogical attributes. Hopefully we can improve that slightly, maybe get up to 14, but every other area of his game is fantastic. He's 15 for technique, so he's definitely going to be able to use the ball. Not the best passing, again we can improve it, but everything else is spot on, and he's got a really good personality. He's only balanced, but he's consistent, a big game player, the sort of things that we need, and he's got great concentration, aggression, anticipation, and he works hard. I like that in a player, and a brave player at that. Not quite sure about the new gen face I picked. I liked it at the time, now starting to think he looks like an old man, but we'll have to stick with it. And on to the final in that we're going to actually look at today is Gavin Bazunu, goalkeeper. We really struggled with conceding last season, and I felt like Leisure was not good enough between the sticks. So Manchester City had this kid as their backup, believe it or not. We still had to pay 45 million, which is a staggering amount of money, but believe me when I looked through all the goalkeepers on offer, he was by far the cheapest. That is a potentially elite goalkeeper, and that is what we need. We've got a backup coming through the ranks that's going to be ready in 3 or 4 years, but I'm not ready to wait 3 or 4 years. We need someone now, so that's why we've got Bazunu in, and I feel with game time and only age 24, he's only going to get better. So we spent £126 million, but we've reeled in 131 million, so quite happy with the transfer business all in all. Lots of players going out on loan. That goalkeeper I was mentioning is this kid, Van Dunen. He's going to be a cracker, but he's not ready yet for first team football. You'll notice there's a lot of free transfers in here. All these guys have desirable personalities. They're shite, to be honest. They're never going to get any game time. I mean, Danny Ings, he's never going to play for us. But he does have a professional personality. There's Resolute in there. There's even a model professional somewhere, I believe. So we've got loads of players in. And what we've done is we've thrown them into the mentoring groups so that we can get players experience, but more importantly, improve their personalities. I've mentioned this time and time before. What I've tried to do now with the mentoring groups is group them more by social group as well as position. So for instance, Monroe, Palm arguably, Grasso, Molina, Mendicino and Ings things are all going to have influence within this group. And if you look through their personalities, they're all desirable. The same with the rest. We won't go through them all. That's generally how I try and work it. So that's why I end up with a load of players that we don't actually need. It does help massively improve those kids' personalities, which can be the difference between them developing into world-class players or just being average. We are going to be sticking with the same system, the Concerto version 2 again. Palm's probably going to get more of a chance this season alongside Monroe. But one player I forgot to show you, and I can't believe I missed this kid out, another transfer, Joey Stevens. We got him from Leeds United. I've wanted this kid for years, probably the last 3 I would say. 33 million we paid for him. I got him off the back of Bowden leaving for 25 million, so I felt like it was warranted paying that little bit more. He's English, he's 23, he's reasonably determined, but he's a great finisher. Look at that acceleration, agility and balance. He anticipates and moves well off the ball as well as being composed, so I'm hoping he can find the net for us. He's not played so much so far, but he's definitely going to be a big player for us in the future. The other system that I'm going to be using is not version 1, is this one here, the Three Amigos. You all remember it from last season. This is our big game system, and also for when we come up against a 4-5-1, we play a like-for-like formation. Right, we're going into way too much detail there. The eagle-eyed of you, though, will have noticed a flag on the left-hand side. It's France. I have been hired as the manager of France. It came randomly into my inbox. I got offered the France job, the Italy job, and another one, I can't remember which. So I went for France in the end because they've got so much amazing talent. We're not going to go through the entire squad right now, but this team is exceptional. I mean, you have a look at the potential in the first team alone. We've got Mbappe, who you all know is amazing, but look at this guy. Scarborough, plays for Chelsea, 19 acceleration and 19 agility with 17 pace. He's got 19 flair, 17 dribbling. We've got some exceptional players in this team. Christian Simon plays for Tottenham, I believe. He's a cracking goal scorer, played in one of our first games and scored a beauty. But the whole team, I mean, Mikel Cargol, he can play from the wing or up front. We'll go through the team in more detail at a later date, but all you need to know is these guys have got so much talent and I can't wait to work with them. So that takes us nicely into the preview for today. I said it was West Ham, it's actually Leicester, the live com game at home, sorry. So we'll see that in just a second, but let's get you all caught up. We had a brilliant pre-season, winning every friendly, only conceding 1 goal. And at the start of the season, we carried that on. We beat Wolves 3-0. Away from home. Monroe scored a penalty, Zeffy and Joey Stevens scoring on his debut. Tanguy Malé got injured in this game and he's only just come back, but Silveira was amazing with a cracking assist and an 8.6 average rating. We came up against Liverpool next. This game was fantastic. The first 3 goals were amazing. I'll show you them now. Andrei Agassia scoring. The next one was a Yusuga free kick picked out into the top corner. Brignoni also scored a cracking header. That was some really nice build-up play. And Ilias Belkayat scored the most stunning strike as well. Great to see the Frenchman getting on the score sheet. This kid, he is going to be brilliant for us, brilliant for my new national team. So again, loads to be excited about in the save. I feel like we're only just getting started. And Liverpool were torn to shreds in that game. We then came up against Burnley and won 5-0 at home. Palm scored a hat-trick, which has given me a lot to think about for who's going to start alongside Monroe up front. And Brignoni also scored. That was from a set piece. We beat Tottenham 4-0. Monroe scoring 2, Palm 1, Brignoni again getting on the score sheet before we came up against Liverpool away from home. We played the 4-5-1 in this match, 3 amigos. That was to match Liverpool's formation. They weren't playing an AMC, they were playing a DMC, and we always struggle against that against Liverpool. So I decided to go with a more concerted tactic. We beat them 3-2 in the end. First 2 goals were fantastic and we really deserved this result. Alvarado scoring a peach of a goal, but this Zeffy header was brilliant and the build-up play was great as well. Unfortunately, Zeffy did get injured shortly after and he's going to be out for today's game, but he should hopefully be back soon because the international break's giving him some time to recover. That sits us top of the Premier League on 12 points. United, Everton and Leeds, surprisingly, who have only just come up the other season, have all won all their games as well. So on to the live-com game, and Scarborough have won twice and drawn twice against Leicester. We do historically struggle against them. They seem to sit back a bit and hold back against us, but they are in inconsistent form, whereas we've been amazing at the start of the season. 5-4 favourites there, 7-4, and they struggle down in 17th. Looking at the opposition report, they should be playing a 4-2-3-1. I think there'll be gaps open at the back, so I'm going to go with Concerto. We're going to attack them from the off and see how we get on. The team's going to be Palm and Monroe up front. I was tempted to play Stevens, but Palm's been in exceptional form at the start of the season. And Monroe's obviously our main man. We're going to have Grasso from the right-hand side. You all know how much I love this kid. He was a banging form last season. Alvarado, he's had a little bit of a dip recently with his attributes. But we're going to start him anyway because Agasea, who I am starting to become very fond of, especially after his heroics in the Europa League final that you may remember from last season, he is a little bit unfit. Silveira, who's our main man, is going to start from advanced playmaker role, and I'm going to actually start Lemur from box-to-box midfielder. He's been preferred over Mariba, who I feel has been a bit average, to be honest. We've got Ahmed El Id as well, who's only 16, but I want to give him some game time. I just don't feel like this is the right time to do that. Maybe in the next match, which is a Champions League game. Joey Stevens is on the bench. He's probably going to get a chance at some point, but I'm going to play him more in the Champions League alongside Belkayat. The reason for that, Palm, just a little tip, guys. If you hover over the little circle here, it tells you which side the player prefers to play on, which is really, really important. Playing a person on their non-preferred side when it's not necessary as part of your tactic is a big no-no. They will definitely not score as many goals, especially for strikers, and be far less comfortable. Palm prefers playing on the left, Monroe prefers playing on the right, so that partnership works. Likewise with Belkayat and Stevens. Stevens likes playing on the left, Belkayat likes playing on the right. So I prefer to keep them together in those partnerships. We are missing Zephy, which I am very disappointed about. The right back, he is by far our best defender, but Pisani's going to get the nod, and he's got a lot of speed, and he can certainly cross a ball as well as tackle, so hopefully he can do a job today. Malay comes back for the first time this season after injury. He was a brilliant player for us last season. He's kind of stagnated recently. He's 18, he's still got a lot of room to grow, so I'm hoping it's just a little bit of a plateau before he starts to increase again, but we'll see what happens there. And of course, Bazunu is in goal. He's had a decent start to the season. So without further ado, let's kick this game off. Come on, you SEADOGS. Leicester have a decent little team. They've got Origi, Madison and Sarr across the front three. And Sanchez, they actually paid a lot of money for him. I think it was 50 odd million. 88 million from PSG. I don't know where Leicester found that money from. And he's not an 88 million pound player, is he? You all know what's going to happen now. He's going to go and score a hat-trick because that's how this game works. They seem to be able to hear through walls. Right, let's tell lads to do it for the fans and kick this game off. We are at home, hence why I'm going to go with Concerto, the more attacking system. Then playing an AMC is a little bit of a worry because we don't have a lot of cover in that kind of DMC slot. But we're going to begin with an Alvarado free kick and almost caught out the goalkeeper there. Alvarado's rushed over to take the corner. He's going to play it short to Lemur, the box-to-box midfielder, who finds Alvarado again. That's really well worked and almost got a goal there. There's no one on the end of it. But Brignone brings it back into Malay to Palm, who finds Lemur. And this is sensational football before a big scramble in the box. Nothing came of it. How close was that? First highlight for Leicester here is they swung a free kick in and they scored. I don't believe it. That's their first chance of the game. And they're 1-0 up. Well, that's really, really irritating. We've had all the possession, all the chances, and they've gone and scored. 41 minutes in, and we've got another highlight here. Malay hanging over the free kick, passes to Brignone, but he's dispossessed very easily by Andre Silva, who's in behind and skews his shot wide. Coming under a lot of pressure here. Kind of shocked, to be honest. I thought we would have had this game in the bag with ease. But Alvarado's got a chance from the free kick, and that is an awful effort. Half time, 1-0 down. I am not impressed at all. I'm going to assertively ask them where the passion is. I was going to aggressively do it, but I think it's maybe too soon to get too hoity-toity in the season. We're on to the 53rd minute now. This is shit. let's make some changes. I'm not happy with this. We're going to have Munro off for Stevens. Alvarado's been awful, so we're going to have Agasea on. And actually, Grasso's been pretty terrible as well. It seems to be out wide that we're really struggling. There's passionate tell those lads they can make the difference, and hopefully they can. I'm also going to demand more. And we have our first highlights into changes. Malé throws it in, and Dahlberg, who must have been signed for a decent amount of money because he's a fantastic keeper and he was only at Watford last season. So I think Leicester have actually spent reasonably well by the looks of it. But we're going to try and launch an attack here. Pisani with the ball at the top to Stevens off the bench and get in. The new signing scores his second goal of the season. Assisted by Diego Pisani with that ball over the top. That was a great little pass. Terrible defending from Leicester. But great to see Stevens getting on the score sheet with a great finish there. A lot of our other strikers we've had in the past would have fluffed that opportunity. 65th minute, I'm going to probably, we'll see what happens this high, but I might demand more in a second. Malé with the long throw. Agasea nods it on, nothing happening, but Stevens finds Suga, and Suga scores. I thought that was tackled into the back of the net. If it wasn't, it was a neat little finish. Here's the replay. Suga dribbles the ball inside, and it looks like a neat little finish that just wrong-footed the goalkeeper. Yeah, we'll take that. Got a corner now. Suga plays it short to Silveira. I'm loving these short corners. Malé back to Suga, and what a strike. The substitutes have done it for us today. That was deemed an own goal in the end, which I think is very unfair, to be honest. Let's just see what happened there, because I'm not sure if it was going wide or not. Malé back down to Suga, and Suga, yeah, that's probably going wide in fairness, but we'll take it. Again, the substitutes making all the difference. They've really created well since coming off the bench, and that's going to be the difference, I think, this season. Last year, we didn't really have enough in every position to change the game, whereas I think we do this time around. Silveira works the ball out wide to Malé, and dispossessed easily by Nico Williams there. Andre Silva to Madison, to Sanchez, the new signing, just in the right back. Williams, I don't know what he's doing on that side. He's done all right there, but we've dealt with it in the end. Lemur with a decent tackle. And that's one of the other reasons I wanted to bring Lemur in. That box-to-box midfielder role with Luan in it has been a very creative position for us, whereas we don't have an awful lot in Concerto going back, as you can see here, and we almost get punished. But Lemur is a more defensive-minded player. Not only is he attacking. Another attack here from Leicester. We've way overcommitted to the set piece, and Malé just wipes out the striker completely. That's got to be a penalty, and that's going to make it 3-2 if they dispatch this one. Madison, great finish from Madison. That makes it 3-2. Very disappointed that the only live com game of today is going to be a narrowly fought out win. But we do, like I say, historically struggle against Leicester. So at least we got all the points in the end. Not the best performance, but we will take it. 15 points we're on now. We've won every game this season. Perfect record, both internationally and domestically. Cracking little comeback, I'll tell the lads. And yeah, we've got Porto coming up next. Unfortunately, you're not going to get to see that. That's all we're going to be looking at for today's episode. What I will leave you with, though, is our finances. 183 million in the bank. A lot of that will be going back because we've got players coming in on instalments, as you all know. We've got a big signing coming in January, but I'm going to leave you waiting to see that one. It's another defender. That's the only spoiler. And next time, I'm not quite sure when we'll come back. There's actually a couple of tasty looking games in November and in December. You've got Chelsea, Arsenal. One of the two Champions League games there could be quite decisive. So we'll maybe come back in winter, somewhere around here, I would say. Right, boys, thank you so much for following. I do much appreciate it. And if you haven't done so already, don't forget to subscribe, hit the bell button. That way you get to see new guides and episodes as and when they go live. And if you enjoyed this, give us a thumbs up. Really does help the channel. Right, guys, I will love you and leave you. Cheers, chaps.